What up, you guys? Happy new moon in Leo. Welcome to our tarot and oracle workshop where we will be briefly talking about the energy right now, and then we will get into our reading. Leo, new moon. Leo is a masculine fixed fire sign. And we kind of need that energy right now because everything is feeling pretty heavy. The ascension symptoms have been pretty thick. And there may be physical circumstances in your surroundings that are magnified right now to bring out those physical symptoms. But either way, regardless of the source of the symptoms, I feel like we're all feeling them right now. Feeling like the physical weight of carrying a mass amount of pressure. And so your body might be feeling like tired and achy and inflamed. You may be feeling fatigued, or like your immune system is just like hyper vigilant right now and just in survival mode. And so that is just very exhausting to your nervous system. It's really depletes your energy and all of your brain physiological networks of chemistry and all the things going on. Brain fog. I am with you. Like I said, there could be material world factors that are creating those symptoms. So don't ignore other things going on. But it is manifesting in essentially the same feeling of heaviness and just general glitching out kind of. And so I've been getting these visuals and visions of the fact that the new timeline is the one that we're on now. And so the programming of the old timeline is going to start causing our functionality to start bugging out. So think of it like a computer with an operating system. And it's like if you haven't updated your computer in a long time, you get behind in a lower operating system. And so things won't load as fast. Things will be buggy. Your computer starts to crash. And so you have to go through these upgrades in the software, right? And so I myself was behind, I guess, on Adobe Flash, and now it's this new player, and I'm like, is this real? I've got to check out the legitimacy of this. But so sometimes it's this, it was a notification of end of life for Adobe Flash. I was like, wow, this is dramatic. But I was like, wow, this is so dramatic because it is a player, an operating system, an application in your computer that is no longer being supported, right? And so the old patterns in the self, the old ego small self that we have always been up until now, that has been perpetuating these same patterns and these same lessons over and over and over again. These cycles are coming to an end because the old timeline has come to an end. There is no more future forward movement on that timeline. So we're jumping over into a new timeline, but the old operating system is no longer supported there, and it no longer functions in this realm. And so you've got to get a new operating system for your hard drive. And so that's what's happening right now. Those subconscious patterns are coming up again and going back into those old default response modes and impulsive, lower base instinctual reactions, and just being in reactive consciousness, in effect consciousness, is not functioning anymore. And so it might function on the old timeline, but if you're meant to go forward, you're not going to be staying on the old timeline. Some people may. And so there was this sci-fi movie in the 80s called Millennium, and it was set in the future. It was kind of prophetic because what would happen is these people would go up in these, a flight on a plane. And while they were in flight, they were destined to crash. But another plane or this shuttle of people would pull up and dock on that plane, and they would go on to the plane, make everyone unconscious, and they would take out the people who were meant to survive, and that they would take them into this other dimension where they continued on into their reality. And then they would take other people that were sitting in for the people who were about to die. And it was just this swap out, right? And so it kind of feels like these timelines, this timeline swap is almost like that. It's So for some, we are awakened into this new cycle, into this new timeline where like the new consciousness has to set in, and it's becoming more like creator. So we're becoming more like the cause consciousness versus effect consciousness. So we have to be able to see what's happening around us, and we're starting to realize, we're starting to become more awakened, like, oh, these are the tests. These are the things that keep getting in the gaps where I still have triggers, where I still have buttons that can be pressed. And so these are gaps in space that allow for the opponent to come in and play with our ego and mess with our ego in order to shift our consciousness into effect consciousness. And so from there, we're in a state of effect. We're in a state of like fear, lack, doubt. Ooh, I want to like get instant gratification. I want to fix this now. I want to solve the situation in my best interest. I want to, receive and get a high and be satisfied and do it the easy way, right? And that's what we're trying to overcome. And so it takes a minute to literally pause yourself and restrict your initial impulse and question that and observe your current reality and your situation and the person that you're trying to become. You're striving to become more like your higher self, that spirit self that's already like 100% whole, unified, and the expression of the light through you at your ultimate potential. And that part of you never gets changed. It never gets soiled. It never gets lessened or greater. It's just sustaining, eternal, perpetual. The soul is what fluctuates, right? The soul is like the phone cover. We have to, upgrade it, swap it out, clean it, but that's like it's a work in progress. So this time of year, every year, when Mercury goes retrograde in Virgo, it's like this time where we get to prepare our consciousness for the coming of the new year, the spiritual new year, which is Rosh Hashanah. During Rosh Hashanah, it's like we get a soul dry cleaning, and it's like we get to swap in our old battered soul and we get a replacement, a fresh, brand new soul jacket to put on. We still have the same contracts and like all of that, but it's like we have been able to erase, hopefully, like the karmic interest that we've built up for the year, right? And so the scales, we're trying to keep alchemizing the darkness so that we keep breaking away those shells of negativity to reveal more of our light, whilst all the while continuing in the daily misfunction and dysfunction and traumas that are ever and never ending. So it's like we're always digging through the old stuff. We're trying to have spiritual sunscreen on to provide us some protection against the oncoming stuff. And it's like this constant effort to keep that soul in good condition and maintain it, try to improve upon and awaken and elevate the condition of that soul while we are here on earth. So every year on Rosh Hashanah, between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, it's like we go through this spiritual renewal. Our spiritual debt is paid for the year, and we get a chance to have a clean slate, to try to approach our year as a new person and try to achieve a different destiny than we were fated to have, a higher destiny than we were fated to have. And so every year, Mercury goes retrograde in Virgo, right before we go into the new moon in the month of August that sends us back through a process called Teshuvah. And it's like a 30 or 40 day period of a consciousness fast where we try to realign ourselves to our focus, to our goals, to our soul's mission, to our soul's calling, to our higher self, to the path, right? It's like the prodigal son coming home. And so we strive again every year during Teshuvah to atone for where we've gone off path and try to recalculating. And so that way, when we go into Rosh Hashanah, it's like we've been studying for the final exam, for the bar exam, all summer, right? We have 3 deep reflective weeks while Mercury was retrograde in Virgo and Leo to really self-reflect, figure out what it is that we're bringing into Teshuvah, what it is about our personality that still is self-defeating and still works against us and still causes us to hit blocks and prevents us from moving forward and achieving more of that potential and expanding more into our light. What keeps us circling in these same lessons. So we get clear on that. And then we take that into the self-discipline and self-reflection in deeper levels of self-awareness and establishing that awareness through the month of August. And so we do that because the more that we shine a light on these things that were previously unconscious, we have more and more sovereignty over that, because when we feel the default setting coming on, we're like, I don't want to robotically respond to this. I'm not a robot. I am a human being, and I am higher than even the rulers in the cosmic realms. I'm higher than the angels. I'm higher than the astrology. It doesn't matter. Like, when you claim your cosmic sovereignty, you rise above those influences because you own your consciousness. You're in possession of yourself. Nothing is in possession of you. So we, from that state, can use our free will to say no to the easier base instinct and say yes to the more challenging but more fulfilling higher nature. So here we are with this Leo new moon, and new moons are the seed level of the whole month. And so there's some really positive strengths that Leo has, but there are equal shadow aspects to all the positivity of all the signs, right? So the bright and shining and strong and helpful aspects of Leo are that they shine. They can like take a spotlight and use it to bring light and awareness to things. They're responsible leaders and they're proactive. The fixed fire in them makes them have that stick-to-itiveness. That, okay, once I've like defined the criteria of this discipline, of this effort, of this goal, I will execute it, and I will be persistent and perseverant and determined to be victorious. And they can keep that energy up, and they can keep their focus on the why, the grander scheme, the principle of the thing, rather than the minutia. And so when you can keep your focus on why you want to share this light, then you are like perpetually renewed and your tank stays full. Whereas if you're looking at the return on investment, what are the results, looking everywhere outside of just the reason why you're doing it in the first place, then you begin to get depleted. So Leo is really good at maintaining that perseverance and that determination, taking on that leadership, using their natural magnetism to draw attention for good. They're putting themselves up on a platform and using their voice wisely. They're proud. They usually have like fabulous hair. My hair is having a good hair day today. Like they have big, bold personalities. They're courageous. They like the spotlight. They like the attention. They're like a proud lion, very strong, very graceful. But they can get overly obsessed with pride and respect and being respected. And so that can cause like ego issues for them. So as big as your ego personality is, it can be a tool for you, or it can also work against you. So during the month of Leo, whereas our brighter light is trying to come out and shine and be an example of that higher self, that lower self's coming in too, and finding every chance to feel disrespected or victimized or be prideful or stubborn or be combative or difficult or too set in something where you can't let up, you can't stop fighting this issue. There was a big message that came in this week about the assignments of the week it's like you're not going to get any further by continuing to fight life or trying to force an issue. It's like trying to free yourself from like quicksand, or when like you're tied up in a knot, and the knot, the more you work at it and pull at it at the strings, the more it gets worse and tightens. Whereas you gotta like kind of like drop it and let the thing find a way to get loose, and then shake the thing loose rather than pulling at things loose, right? So it's like we kind of have to surrender to this moment and accept that we're sort of like, we're not necessarily in a dead end, but forcing anything along is fruitless because we're in a cul-de-sac. And pretend like you're on a road trip, and before you can, like, maybe you're even on the kind of a trip where you have to like do things along the way. Like when I was in production, I would have like all kinds of like errands and things to run, and I'd have to manage my time and troubleshoot ahead of time. Okay, do I need to get this before I go to this place? Do I have to have this thing before this thing will function? And so it's like almost like before we can go to the next step, there's something that we have to do in this cul-de-sac. And it's just like, you might as well just enjoy the moment that you're in right now and surrender to it and trust that things are playing out. It's just that us trying to force anything right now is just working against us. So relax, release. The thing about Leo is that there's so much joy and fun and adventure and playfulness. And with the energy being so heavy through this ascension, it's been really easy to separate from any sense of fun and joy and playfulness. And this is that time of year too. It's summer, and so it's time to like enjoy the light and celebrate and be out and have fun. And it may feel like you've been very restricted lately and not been able to do that. But you need to lean into that feeling, because those high vibrations and that joy is what's going to spark the creative flow needed to get on track, because Mercury is retrograde in Virgo. So we're reevaluating like the things, the routines, the habits that we have, our wellness or unwellness approaches to life. Everything about the way that we handle our material comings and goings is up for questioning right now, because the way that things are manifesting is a signal pointing to a subconscious root, right? Holistically, it's because of some kind of subconscious or unconscious impulse. So we need to examine, our routines. Even if you love staying clean and organized, if you're overdoing it, then that can be escapism and a way of avoidance and perfectionism and procrastination as well. And it seems like it's productive, it seems healthy, but like we need to really from a very scientific mind, evaluate what we see in our environment right now. And so if you're coming at it from a scientific mind, you have to presuppose that you do not have the answer, that you don't know anything in the situation, that you are an open, curious student that can be told the truth, the mathematical truth, the scientific truth of the situation, and not your grip on your perspective of a subjective truth. Does that make sense? So we need to look at those things very clearly, very cleanly, very objectively, very honestly. And then from there, when Mercury is still in retrograde, but it dips into Leo, that will give us like that fortitude and that determination and that fire to go forward and like take the actions that we figured out in the first half of the Mercury retrograde while we were in Virgo. So yay. So it feels really tiring, but we are like embodying that new light and that new level of soul coming in, and we're right there butting up against that next level. But right as you get to that next level, that's when the crescendo of shitstorm hits from every angle. It's like, okay, let's test all of your buttons, because the opponent, the next level, next devil is real. The opponent will rise with you every time you rise. And so because the opponent is like the ruler over the material world, he's speedier here, and he's got more things that are willing to work with the devil energy. And so it takes longer for the light to come in and anchor in, and for us to embody that light and start working against our natural impulses and our already learned habits and default settings. So keep sticking with it, because the opponent's side, if you're thinking about this as being like out on a court playing a sport, or in a game navigating a level that has constant little antagonizers and challengers, you have to anticipate those. When you can see them, you can change them, avoid them, overcome them. There's something else I was getting at that, the new level, new opponent, but it's just like, it's always going to be there and it's always going to be relentless. So if we can anticipate that and not let it throw us off our game, but still consider it approach it like a game, like it's fun. Because the one thing that the opponent can do to throw us out of affinity with the light the fastest is fuck with our consciousness, fuck with our mood, get us ornery, get us irritated, get us angry, get us defensive, and I'm gonna do what's right by me. But that could be you could be doing something that everybody around you would be like, yeah, you're within, that's reasonable, but you could just be stirring up another shitstorm. So like you need to be able to discern your own wisdom and where you're being guided, like by a divine voice, not by the crowd, by the loudness of the outside. Because the tests right now are very specific. They're very fine-tuned and nuanced to your unique challenges and patterns. And so nothing that's happening to you right now is a coincidence or an accident. It's all the opponent using everything it can in your environment to try to trigger you emotionally. And when we are in like a similar consciousness to the creator, it's like we have vibrational resonance with the creator, drawing close to that energy and being able to be like sheltered in the umbrella of the creator's light and blessing and abundance. But if we go into frustration or anger or blame or judgment, these emotional and conscious states that are not in affinity with the light, then we are dissonant, and then we disconnect from that energy. And so we're cut off from our blessings. So in order to stay in that in our groove, going towards our goal, we need to just cultivate our consciousness and ignore all the outer stimuli that are coming in and pretend like, it's just a haunted house. It's just a roller coaster. Like, this is a fun house of mirrors, of distortions and nightmares that I've paid to see and have a good time, enjoy. And do not let it make you sad or weary or in despair. Like, keep your feeling state, keep your consciousness state set to whatever you can to keep at least a peaceful base. Open, appreciative, like try your best. It's hard, right? Because it's like being in the Olympics of spirituality right now. This jump into this next level is no joke. It is like a worldwide global shift in mankind, so it's not going to be easy. But it's happening. And I think that we're all here, we're all making the jump. So, all right, let's get into the Celtic Cross reading using my straightforward oracle. And so this first card will represent like who we are or our energy in the context of this moment. This is a father issue to overcome. So again, the father is the divine masculine, and our father issues affect the way that we're capable of showing up in the world. Particularly, I think, is it manifested and expressed through the suit of the wands category. The Knight of Wands is like fiery and excited, but they have like commitment issues. They're non-committal and they get distracted easily. They can't persevere. They can't stay devoted. The other issues of like the fire sign coming through with like the issues of the father is like the King of Wands is like that stable provider energy with that like strong connection to God. But if you have that character in reverse, it's like stubborn, overly domineering, temperamental. So if you've had those experiences with your father and you've suffered father wounds, it can affect the way that you show up and perform in the world, whether it being overachieving, underachieving, avoidance, attachment. Like it can affect your attachment styles. It can affect like the way that you approach work and life and relationship and people and your ability to function or be self-sufficient and confident and secure or not. So this is a father issue to heal. Father healing. Why did my father choose me? Like before we were born into this life, why would my father have chosen me? Give yourself 3 to 4 difficult answers, not the, well, we get along so well answers. Why did I choose my father? Again, before this world, why would I have chosen the father that I did to make me into the person of grit that I am today? The hard answers, not the easy ones. My father believed in me. None of that. It's going to be the things that you had, the challenges with your father. Like, why would you have agreed to that process in order to awaken like the superhero in you? Why was that your origin story? The father wound, self-worth, liberation, forgiveness, confidence, independence, healing, enmeshment, and codependency, having to do with attachment styles. And what was your father's attachment style? Was he anxious, avoidant? Was your father a people pleaser, so that's why you couldn't trust him, because he didn't have enough backbone and he didn't, protect you or your family good enough? Like what kind of energy did your father have, and like how did his most predominant personality aspects affect you as a family and affect your relationship with him? Interesting, this was one of our archetypal energies that came out for the week in our anchor message, but the dead end is here. So the energy kind of crossing us at this moment is a dead end energy. It feels like we are at the end of a road. There's nowhere to go from here. We feel like we're going in circles. You don't stay in a dead end forever. So in a way, part of the lesson right now is to be with this dead end energy in this moment. But there might be things within this moment that you're recognizing like have no more to give. Futile attempts, probably at trying to control our situation and try to make momentum happen right now. Fruitless efforts, just passing through a temporary experience. Nothing significant will grow of this. So again, this can be different things for different people, but there is a general energy in the air of being in a cul-de-sac of self-examination and examination of our life and our comings and goings. Okay, so this will be the subconscious influence that is the root of the situation. Compromise. So I believe that this is saying that we have compromised something that has changed like the inherent like result that we got. And so on a deeper level, we ourselves feel that we have been compromised, that we compromised ourselves. Rather than listening to our higher self, we let other people's opinions and viewpoints and perspectives get in, and we said, okay, maybe maybe this is unachievable, but maybe I can do this instead, and that's close enough, kind of thing. Or, when you're looking for a romantic partner, you might have compromised your core needs and values because you thought, well, those aren't attainable all in one person, so I guess I'll just compromise and settle for something that wasn't quite right, but then ended up breaking down your self-worth and your stability, right? So what have we compromised, and what will we no longer compromise on? The situation requires give and take for a win-win. You don't have to compromise yourself or your values to find a healthy compromise in this situation. So I think that the thing that is getting us here has been compromising. Like maybe you felt like you had to buckle under the pressure of your father's control. And your father was so controlling that you never learned that it was safe or how to safely and in a healthy way stand up for yourself or communicate what you needed. And so you were always like bending under the pressure or compromising to keep the situation survivable or livable or comfortable for everyone, right? Giving up your needs to prop up someone else's authority or ego or what have you. So look at the situation and examine the very clear examples in your life and then work your way from there into the grayer areas. Because there may be some things also that you, as like a self-defense mechanism, you just became like generally uncompromising or afraid of compromise, and you're starting to associate that in broad strokes. So that might be something to consider, whereas like sometimes it's good to compromise, but sometimes it's not. And so you have to learn how to decipher what is compromisable and what isn't. Okay, so the next card is going to represent a lesson from the past that is beginning to dissipate. Like you're getting it, you're at the end of this pattern, but you still feel the effects of it, is the you're being delusional card. So something that you haven't seen and something that you were like, you're talking yourself into being satisfied with all of these things where you've compromised yourself. You can see it now. You're like, wow, I was delusional. I was making myself settle for circumstances and relationships and things that just weren't really right for me. And now I can see how I compromised myself, and I can see through any lie that my ego would do, try to pull over my eyes again to just get situated and settle for comfort's sake. Like, I think we're seeing past that now, and we can't unsee it anymore. And that's one reason why we need to go so deep and get so clear over this month about parts of ourself and our nature and the lies that we told ourselves that we don't want to bring with us anymore. And so your imagination is running away from you. Your fears are causing you to imagine the worst case scenarios. Unhealed past trauma is messing with your head. So like unhealed past trauma, or like childhood post-traumatic stress syndrome, can cause us to be easily triggered, and it throws our nervous system into dysregulation. And so then we have a low-level trauma response that ends up becoming part of like these patterns and part of our behavior and part of our reactive impulses. And if we can recognize those, we can break those like neural patterns as well. There's a physiology to these subconscious patterns, and sometimes it represents in a way that we're unconscious of, but it's like a neurological repetition that we keep going through. Okay, so unhealed past trauma is messing with your head. It's not like it was time to practice self-control and put your mind on something else. So it's not going to turn out the way it was necessarily. And so it's time to practice self-control and stop getting caught in loops of fantasy or paranoia or grandeur or rumination or limerence. Just get grounded in the isness of the moment. Okay, the next card will be the energy that is crowning us right now. This is the energy kind of hovering over our situation. Don't say anything yet. The timing is not right. They won't be able to hear yet. Their heart is not open. You may change your mind. You don't have all the information yet. So there have been like warnings for the 3 weeks of like the Cancer Leo moment here at the beginning of the end of July, early August. Until August 14th, we're in the most challenging aspects of those darker Leo characteristics, and probably mixed in with the Cancer darker shadow aspects. So the triggers have been real. And so even in addition to the Mercury retrograde, like until August 14th, we've been encouraged to not do anything major. Like, don't start a new job. Don't buy a house right now. Like, don't use now as the time to get anything big done, because it won't go off right. There will be chaos, or people are like extra sensitive and defensive. Like my ongoing air conditioning situation, I did get them to finally come out and replace the ductwork that was wet from the being flooded from the air conditioning unit. But the guys that came out only replaced like 2 sections and left some of the biggest like problem areas. And so then I had to like write this entire like long like timeline, occasion by occasion, of since the 2022 when it began. So 3 summers of this. Like the management person asked me for it in April, but I didn't want to take an action that would probably could possibly result in someone getting in trouble or their job being at stake. So I was just like, I just put it off, hoping that we would get the situation resolved, and it's not resolved. And so I finally like spent like 3 hours like sending this email. I don't know if I have a response yet, but my instruction was to write the letter and then give it a rest. 4 of Swords came up, and it was like, okay, until August 14th, I am not going to follow up with any additional like work requests. I'm just going to leave it at that until August 14th, and then the energy will shift and things might be like they're not going to land well right now. Like I am dealing with 3 male figures that do not like want to be pushed or told that they're like haphazard, like chewing gum on like the Titanic going down is working, and it's not. So they're triggered. And so I'm dealing with their Leo hurt pride right now. And it's like, it's navigating this. Yeah, so I'm with you. I feel you. So don't say anything yet. It won't be received well. There's also more information that could come out. Opportunities that fall into place. People's attitudes and situations and circumstances could change. Other things could play out that haven't played out yet that could give you an advantage or an edge or something. So just wait it out for a minute. Don't say anything yet. And circle August 14th on your calendar, because that might not be the go sign, but it definitely is don't do anything. The stoplight is on until August 14th. Okay, so this is coming around the corner. Let it go. It's not worth fixing. Not worth holding on to. The air conditioning unit? No shit. So moving on to more fulfilling situation. This is going to cause more trouble than it's worth. This could wear down your confidence and self-worth over a period of time. So continuing to try to make it work, and whatever this is not going to yield the results that you want. And so it'll cause you to start second guessing yourself. It'll cause you to second guess the fact that can you trust your intuition? Can I trust my skills? And do I suck? Why isn't this working? Like there's something in your situation that's not worth fixing, and that the surrender in this moment is like letting things, the chips fall where they may, but there will be. Okay, I'm back from work. In case I suddenly look like life's taking its toll on me. I'm like a little bit disheveled, but it's all right. We're getting right back in it. So we left off with what is just around the corner, which it's let it go, not worth fixing, don't keep toiling away. All right, so the next card is our perspective that is affecting us the most at this moment. And this perspective is usually something that's like kind of holding us back. This is usually what this position is getting at. So there's more going on than meets the eye. Movement behind the scenes, pieces moving into place. There's something you don't know. There's more going on than meets the eye, more going on under the surface. So I have a feeling that it's like we know that there's more going on than meets the eye, but we don't know what that is. And so it's probably causing a lot of paranoia or overthinking or hypervigilance, or, you know, just that feeling of like ominous threat that you can't see, that you're like, is something just about to like rip the rug right from under me? Or like, what is going on? And so there's probably more to the situation than you know about. It's not necessarily a malicious factor. It's just that there's more going on and more will play out. And so you kind of know that, but you're also like, but I don't know what I don't know. And so that's kind of magnifying it. If I can remember correctly, in our last Lunation workshop, there was like message after message that was like, don't overthink this. Don't obsess. Like, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Don't have so much anxiety. Like, it's mostly smoke and mirrors right now. So just know did we have something yet? Don't say anything yet, because there's more going on than meets the eye, and it's kind of all like hanging over our head. Like that's the energy right now hanging over. Don't say anything yet. There's more to this situation than you realize, or it's not what it seems. And then there's like, you can feel that being true. You can feel it kind of hanging over you like a brewing storm. Like you can feel that in the weather. And it's like that. And then it's like, you feel like, I know there's more going on than meets the eye, but like, you don't know what it is. And so everything that you're doing right now, you're like, should I do this? There's more going on than meets the eye. I don't know. Should I not do that? So it's like kind of affecting every way that you're approaching your life at the moment. So if you can just relax the hypervigilance and try not to overthink things, and try not to look at things through the lens of anxiety, and more so the lens of not worrying about it. Like, what if you were a person who just didn't give a shit, and you just went through life and you didn't overthink everything, and everything wasn't life or death, and you weren't like carrying around the cross every day with you? What would you do if you were just a vapid person who got to like show up and just like go through life, go through the motions? Like, What in your heart of hearts makes you feel good? What decision is like gives you peace inside? Maybe like go in that direction, because right now the opponent is leaning into our sense of like ownership of our responsibility and like wanting to do the right thing. And so the opponent is like, the trick of the opponent right now is to keep us spinning and overthinking and overanalyzing and perfectionism and being frozen in that, rather than being able to be at peace. So every little thing that the opponent can use against you, it will. Okay, so what is the outside kind of like influence? How is that affecting us at this moment? Like this is here. Oh, addiction. So your addictive tendencies and habits are coming on like online right now, being triggered in every kind of way. Whatever you do impulsively and compulsively and maybe overdo for the sake of coping, of numbing out, of feeling like a sense of control. Like we were talking about earlier, something as benign as being like a person who cleans, the house to get a sense of peace. I can see how like another reader brought that up as an example recently. I was like, oh my God, that is like a self-defeating habit I have, because I have limited amount of free time. And so as long as everything is good enough, that should be good enough. But sometimes I overdo chores, or I get caught up in stuff that I could probably postpone, and put off. But it's like the trying to be responsible and not procrastinate and take good care of the house and home and all of that sometimes causes me to get disconnected from my higher purpose that really matters. And so I get caught up not only in my own errands and needs, but others people's as well. And so I feel like, oh no, if I don't do those things first, I have no control and my whole life is going to fall apart. But really, like, the soul mission is falling apart, right? That needs the attention. So even think about those things. Consider like what your compulsive behaviors have been recently. Because even though that is a positive thing to keep your house clean, to keep on top of your chores and your bills and all of that stuff, it can be, another addictive habit to like numb your anxiety. And so like look at the ways that you start to behave, or the ways that you crave to behave when you feel anxious. Like, do you reach for sugary foods? Do you reach for carbs? Like, those are foods that our nervous system craves when it is in a trauma response. It wants that comfort food for that spike of euphoria. But really what we need to regulate our nervous system are more like protein heavy foods and low carb foods. That's what helps us regulate and ground. So look at all the things that come up compulsively when your anxiety turns on, or when your triggers turn on, or even when the trigger of like boredom and like a rut, that feeling like blasé, like everything's just meh, like I need some kind of hit of excitement, of technicolor, like everything's just so what do you kind of tend to do in those moments? Is it calling up somebody in your contacts list that you shouldn't, be reaching out to, just trying to like get attention from somebody through DMs, or, consider that, because that's the thing that's kind of hanging over your situation right now, that's being asked to evolve past and to transcend, in order that we can move into that next level of achievement, of success, of goals, of our own soul being fulfilled and at peace. All of it is connected, and sort of that might be like one major block right now that's holding you back. All right, so the next card will be our hopes and fears, and those are connected. Hey. This is where your soul is calling you. So like we were just saying, it's like these things that are coming up that seem like you're being responsible, and it seems like an important thing to do, but really it's getting in the way of where your soul is trying to call you. So like our hopes, Like we want to align with our soul's calling, and we want to align with our dreams, and we want to, you know, hope that all of this effort and the yearning of our soul and that tugging is going to eventually be satiated at some point, because we want to achieve where the soul is leading us. Because we can feel the dreadful feeling of when we're out of alignment and when we're off the path of the soul calling, and we're like, we can feel that kind of pain. And so we don't want to feel that. So it's like we're afraid. Oh, what if we miss it? What if we don't do it right? Oh, I need to cope. Where's my coping mechanism? Ah! So the soul is calling us, and we need to pay attention. The desire of your soul has a purpose. You are being called toward an experience that can serve to elevate you, your soul in some way. Whether pleasant or not, you are meant to experience this for your soul's healing and expansion. Trust this urge, explore this path, even if only temporarily. So the soul is calling you in a direction. It might be like, pay attention to your nightly dreams, because you may be getting guidance in your nightly dreams. And some elements might be like obvious, and some might be kind of like literal, and some might be super symbolic, and some may be like prophetic in a way. So use your intuition. And then I also love to use the website dreammoods.com. It's like an online dream dictionary. It's like, this website itself is very rudimentary, but like the symbols and the explanations and the dream descriptions are usually right on the money for me. I feel like they're Jungian influenced rather than Freudian influenced. So the initiations is here as well. So it's like, I feel like we're feeling the weight of being like, oh, this is an initiation moment. And I know like this is a test and everything is at stake and everything depends on this. And it's like, again, the stakes are getting higher, we're overthinking things. And so I feel like all of this is like making it heavier and adding to the fear as we hope everything works out. It's like, oh my God, I've been training my whole life for this. What if I don't stick the landing? My nightmares. Okay, so final outcome. It's a good match. It just really jumped out. It was on the top of the deck there. Okay, final outcome. And this is for, kind of like a lucky chance, okay, and worth working on. So something, we just saw a good match. So some pieces of elements of things are coming together to form like a good pairing, and maybe like taking two things and making a third thing out of that kind of a situation. So parts working well together, a lucky chance, good luck, a blessing, a good opportunity is coming, worth working on. Don't throw in the towel. There's something to be learned in this. The situation has value. So you are weighing out right now within this like Mercury retrograde in Virgo. What is the wheat from the chaff? The chaff. The part you can eat from the part that's garbage and you throw out, right? The food trash. So you're separating, okay, what's worth working on and what is not worth working on. The things that are worth working on, I'm going all in. I've got a full on like refreshed desire to like give my all. And then anything that is not worth working on, that's no longer in alignment, that's not serving me for my highest good, that's like an expired soul contract, get out of here. So we have the energy and the focus to be effective in our soul's calling and not be distracted from that and not keep being pulled away from it. Okay, let's grab 4 tarot cards to sort of synopsize the reading here. Sum it all up. Let's see, that one stands out. Ooh, 5 of Pentacles. So just feeling pretty exhausted right now, feeling burnout, feeling left out in the cold, feeling exposed. Like these people are sick and injured. My bosom, like really out there. So yeah, these people, like they're out, they're in the cold, they're usually like have an injury. They are sometimes portrayed as being like ill and sickly. And so they're kind of poor. They're usually in tattered clothing. And so this is like a card of like physical, like kind of like illness, tiredness, burnout, financial difficulty, even maybe some loss. This is a feeling of like spiritual poverty where you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling despair, I'm losing hope. My focus is all on, the storm and what I don't have and the lack. And what's going on here is that these people are right outside of a temple, and the stained glass is all warm and it's hinting at the light in the sanctuary within. And they could take safe haven, but their focus is downward and inward and downtrodden rather than on the light. And so we need to shift our focus right now and our attention and our consciousness on the Creator, on the light, and on building that certainty that we are sheltered within that protection of the Creator, and the Creator will provide and everything will be okay. But instead, we are in effect consciousness, and we're focused on the lack, and we're focused on the fear, and we're focused on all the uncertainty. So we just need to shift our consciousness and really own it and be the steward of that consciousness. We have Knight of Cups. So once again, like when we can get a hold of our consciousness, we're going to feel a lot more inspired and creative and kind of like romantic towards life again, instead of feeling like just like, what's it all for? Like depressed, bored with it, malaise, a blasé. Like it's just like, that's kind of like how we're feeling over in this Five of Pentacles. But when we get on the other side of that, we can shift our focus and our perspective. We're going to be like, you know what? I'm excited again. I'm feeling like swept away, and I am feeling like I'm back in the honeymoon phase of the creation phases. So creation phase 2, where you have an active desire to make an effort. You're going to go all in again, and you're going to feel like, it doesn't matter what happens. I'm doing this because my soul is calling me to do it, and I can't not do it. And so regardless, let the chips fall where they may, I'm going to keep showing up come hell or high water. And it's that determination that is just like, you know what? I'm here to be a servant to the Creator and an ambassador to the Creator. And as long as I keep showing up and doing that, then I have not failed. I've not failed the Creator. The Creator will provide everything that I need when I am trying to achieve a mission for the Creator. Okay, so we have Queen of Cups here. So we've gone from the Knight of Cups, like moving towards things that are more inspiring, being more creative. The Queen of Cups is really great at tuning in and following her intuition. She is not completely like satisfied solely on the logical. Like she is a faith-led person. Her faith extends beyond what she can see. And so she doesn't need something to have logic or reason. If she feels something from her intuition and she's called in a certain direction, she's like, no, I trust this. It doesn't have to seem logical. I don't have to see something to believe it. I believe beyond what I can see and beyond reason and beyond logic. If my intuition is telling me this thing and I know that it's my gut telling me, then I don't need to ask questions. I don't need to understand it. I can't see the whole picture, so I trust that. And so the Queen is great at following her intuition. But the Queen has also had to learn how to draw healthy boundaries and get really strong at keeping those. Because the Queen is so empathic that she feels what everyone else is feeling. And so she's very sympathetic and she's very nurturing. And she really is like others conscious and ends up taking care of others, but many times to the depletion of herself and to like her own detriment and burnout. And so we can't give from an empty cup, right? And we, need to make sure that we're not overgiving because of a people-pleasing pattern, or because we're enmeshed, or because we feel like we're not worthy also. Like everybody else deserves more and our needs don't matter. Like we're healing that belief and that pattern. So being able to heal that also gives us more trust in ourselves to follow our intuition, because we've learned that we are trustworthy to not compromise, to keep our boundaries, to keep that sense of who we are without losing ourselves and everyone else around us. So being the Queen of Cups is like getting to a certain level of self-mastery where you've mastered your emotions so that they're not clouding your judgment. completely, so that you can take into account your feelings, but you can read your intuition clearly, separate from your feelings. Okay, and then let's get one more tarot card. I feel like it was that. Ooh, Seven of Swords. So seeing through. So Seven of Swords is an energy of like stealing something or losing something by way of some trickery or theft or dishonesty. So whilst the opponent is doing everything it can to use everything and everyone around us that's not self-possessed and conscious of what they're doing and why, it's going to use everything around us to try to steal our blessing right now, to try to throw us off our game, to try to throw our energy off, to try to throw our mood and our consciousness off. It's going to come at us with everything. And it's just a trick. It's just trying to steal our light and steal our blessing so that we don't move up to that next level. So it's coming on extra strong right now because we're getting closer and closer to our goals and our mission being complete to some level, some level of achievement is around the corner, and us up leveling our soul and our expanding more into our potential is right around the corner as well. So if that wasn't about to happen, and if we weren't crowning in that moment right now, the challenges wouldn't be so thick. So I'm sitting here, I'm I have barely the energy to finish this video because I feel it. It's coming at us from every angle. So just take that into consideration. If somebody comes at you in a way that you're just why would you do this to me? Why would you be like that? Just know right now, people don't even realize what they're doing, and they don't necessarily even have anything personally, an agenda. It's just that they don't even know why they're doing it in some cases. So try not to take an added layer of taking things personally out too. Just be all right, you're somebody stepped in and they've got a hold of you right now and you don't even know what you're saying or doing. Just navigate through it. Remember, you're a player in the game, so be an active player, actively standing by. So see it when it's happening. We're also seeing our own dishonesty with ourselves, or ways that we weren't realistic, or ways that we were just lost in our own delusions, and ways that our behaviors and addictions have robbed us from that potential, from having more money or more security at this point, or having been living a life of more of our authentic code, and making our dreams come true and living in more joy. Everything that is on the table right now is trying to warn us that our life is dying to get into a fuller richness. And the opponent is how can I just drain this life of all richness, of all joy, of all play, of all success. So you're trying to spend your energy everywhere and just getting no results, right? So see this happening and don't fall into the drama. See it happening so you can figure out how to maneuver around it, and like a chess piece. Okay, let's grab an Angel Wisdom Tarot card we've got Ace of Cups, a beautiful new emotional experience, a romantic relationship or deep friendship, awakening of psychic abilities or spiritual insights, a love letter, a new home. So the energy for this month, this reading is not just about the first 2 weeks of the waxing cycle up until the full moon, but the new moon energy sort of influences the whole month. So this is going to be a month that does begin to turn things around, and it gives us a sense of spiritual renewal and spiritual rebirth, and we kind of have a reset that helps us see things from a fresh perspective and hopefully helps us renew our energy. But in the meantime, we could be meeting someone new, deepening our existing relationships or friendships. But there could be somebody new on the horizon. In our other readings, our romance readings and the manifestation readings, we've been getting the soulmate card and worth waiting for and very soon and those kinds of cards. So I feel like the universe is like, don't give up hope yet. Like something is happening. It's just like, you've got to get through this like change. Everybody's going through this huge thing right now. So just get to the other side of it and it will be more conducive for happy times. Last year was like hot girl summer. This year was like garbage dump summer. All right, so let's grab a card from our Moonology deck. Moon card. Oh, wow. Thank you very much. A fiery climax approaches. Can't wait. Full moon in Aries. So as if it hasn't already been like, just like an ongoing fiery climax to the point of just being like just burnt out. Like it's like a fireworks show that's crescendoing in the grand finale and it's been going on for weeks. We're just like, is this over? Like in today's reading, which I'm gonna do that video right after this, and I'm just like, I can't live. Oh my God, I can't bear the thought of it, but I'm gonna do it. I was like writing today and I was like, it's like we're Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween, and even though we've killed Michael Myers like 20 times, we're like, this is it. I'm so exhausted for like running for my life, fighting to survive. This is it. He's really dead this time. And like, she's like, oh, I just want to get really close and linger around him for a while. And then like he gets up again and you're like, no, I'm so tired. Like, stop. It's like everything, like we keep thinking like, okay, this is finally things are getting resolved. And we're like, nope. We just wanted you to think it was getting resolved so we could break your spirit completely. We want real suffering. Okay, so a fiery climax approaches, the full moon in Aries. Try not to be the fiery climax. Try to maintain your composure, your grace, your consciousness. Apparently, it ain't over yet. This is like one of those American Horror Story seasons where I think that the season is over and I think that this was the final episode, but it's really just the 2/3 in episode. So there's something that's like about like these like, you probably feel like within the story of your life, the show right now, that you've got like these little storylines going on and you think that they're done. You think that they've wrapped up. There's a few key elements that are still kind of like, you're still in the storyline. So it's not quite wrapped up yet, but it's coming. So just brace yourself for a big surprise finish and just be ready to keep control of yourself. Don't pop off. Don't do anything that you can't take back. Don't do anything that could spoil like a relational dynamic that you need to survive or anything like that. Just be very careful. Everything's very tense right now. Everything's like the pressure cooker, so don't make anything worse. Okay. Let's get 4 cards from our Magical Mermaids and Dolphins to check in with our manifestations. Ooh, okay. So this is like specifically the next 2 weeks into the waxing up until the full moon. That's the best time to take action and use the waxing energy of the moon to create, to plant, to do things. But this also, like we said, this energy is going to follow us around all month. Okay, so the first card is accept heaven's help. You've prayed for help, so get out of the way and let heaven help you. So this card came up in our weekly manifestation reading last week. And so it's like, stop trying to control everything. Get out of the way. Like, you've taken action and now give it a couple of weeks to simmer and cool off and see what happens when the energy starts shifting. Right now is contemplation time. So we had heaven's help. You've prayed for help, so get out of the way and let heaven help you. So stop trying to control the situation because you could be getting in your own way or you could be causing your own blocks. Or you could shoot yourself in the foot, whereas there's other things going on that you don't know about. You don't have the whole story. Don't say anything yet. Just let heaven deal with it for the next couple of weeks and see what happens. Contemplation time. During this retrograde, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Spend time alone meditating upon what you truly desire. So when you think about what you truly desire, what in you has to change, and what in your life, and what in your daily routines, like everything from the big to the small, what needs to change in order for you to be able to have that dream, have your desires come into manifestation, come into fulfillment. All right. Let's see. Yes, your intuition is correct. So take action accordingly. Trust your intuition. Timing is everything though. So be very discerning about the timing right now, because like we said earlier, this is a very challenging couple of weeks. So big giant things, maybe you can initiate the beginning stages of the process, but I wouldn't want anything done or brought to completion before the 14th, because like we talked about earlier, my air conditioning guys came to the fiery climactic ending of that, and it's another Michael Myers because they didn't replace all the ductwork. So like I can smell the wet coming through right now. It's like ugh, because I had to turn the dehumidifier off to do the workshop. Okay, and mother healing. That came out earlier, but it was in clumps of cards, so I shuffled it back in. But it's wanted to come out. As your feelings toward your mother heal, as your feelings toward your mother heal, your desires manifest more rapidly and accurately. Well, we've had mother and father healing come up. So the mother healing, mother wounds have to do with the way that we feel about ourselves, our self-worth, if we carry around guilt or shame. Like the father wound affects like how we behave on the outside, like how we show up to life. But the mother wound affects how we feel, and how we feel about ourselves, and how we feel about life and others. Like, are we optimistic? Are we pessimistic? Or do we have trust? Do we have trust issues? Like, do we feel worthy? Do we feel deserving? But because when we heal the things with our mothers, then it's like we feel more deserving, we feel more worthy, and then our like love and money lives end up improving as well, because our self-worth is better. And so then our behavior and our choices start to improve as well. Okay, let's grab 4 cards from the romance angels to see what our love life might be looking like for the next few weeks. What do we need to do or focus on? We need to keep an open mind. Our soulmate may differ from our usual type and expectation. So we may have, a surprise dark horse in the running, like show up and startle us. And it might not be the kind of individual we might expect. So keep an open mind. When you get to know someone, you can, have chemistry that you didn't expect. And sometimes those are even better. The slow burn ends up being better than like the obvious, like right off the bat, like attraction. Because those charismatic people, sometimes they have other issues going on. Okay, healing family issues. Your love life benefits as you forgive your parents. So yeah, like the love life benefits by trying to, as you're healing memories and wounds that you carried from your early childhood and through your adolescence and even maybe recently, try to feel your parents' love for you. Like even in all their mistakes and all their shortcomings and all the wrong ways that they did everything that you might be thinking right now. Like I'm just trying to picture like the person who's like super pissed off behind the camera, like sitting in your living room right now. You're like, oh, you don't know what my parents were like. Like just try, like I know everybody's had like varying ranges of experience, but if you can, even, if they were the worst, try to imagine that they, in their own way, loved you the way that they were capable of. The way that they knew how. And maybe you're like, they knew how to do better and they weren't, and they didn't. Well, then they loved you to the best degree that they were capable of. So just try to feel that. And to, instead of looking for all the ways that they failed and abandoned you, like we've identified those so that you can realize that you were justified in your feeling like things didn't go very well, and like you've acknowledged that wound. Now that you've seen that wound and you've owned it, you can also look at another facet of that relationship with the parents and try to imagine like being able to feel their love for you with the way that they approach you. What's their reason behind it? They might think that they're doing something right by you. They might think that they're helping you, even if it's wrong, even if it's the wrong way. So what is it? If you can feel their love, even if you have to imagine it, right? You can do that. You can tell your subconscious that it's real by having vivid imaginations of like your higher soul, getting to experience like your parents' higher soul instead of like the wounded people that they might have been in their earlier years as well. And just try to feel what it would have been like, what it could be like, and without all of the fleshy barriers and the mistakes and the negativity on a spirit level. When we leave this world and we don't remember like the plot lines anymore, feel that love, feel that eternal love. And so when we feel that love from our parents and about our parents and just connected with our parents, it like helps us like in our love lives too, because it's the vibration of love and forgiveness, and it's not like the vibration of blame and separation and distrust. So for career and finances came up. Financial issues are a factor in your love life right now. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to be happy and have a great time if you are like completely stressed about money and like money issues. And so many times it's kind of like, it's like a simple go-to first. It's like, okay, if you're overwhelmed and you're like, oh, I need to fix my love life and my money life and everything all at once, it's like it might be good to just start with your financial life. That might be the simplest thing to tackle and get that healthy, and then the love can be more healthy as well. The whole scenario around love and love life and romance will feel a lot more romantic and fun if you aren't like trying to like survival mode. So work on those finances. Also, as you heal your mother and father issues, that affects your self-worth, which raises your financial vibration as well. So you might have opportunities present or ways that your abundance starts expanding because you are feeling like you're worth more. And so therefore, like the vibration around you is also kind of like resonating at that level too. So money and love are connected under Venus. The planet Venus rules both. So when you work on one, it affects the other. If your love life is easy to work on right now, then like do like high worth things and make high worth choices in your love life. And that could have a rollover effect into your finances as well. This could be the one. You've already met the romantic partner that you seek. So this could be the one. The person that you're going to be meeting might be someone in your peripheral that you might know of, but you just like wouldn't think of them. Or they could be nearby and you haven't met them yet, but they're like in your energy field already. Maybe your soul has already met them before, and you will be physically, consciously meeting them in this life soon. We've got honeymoon on the bottom of the deck. So it could be like fun, good times coming. Getting to know someone and like falling in crush with them and all of that and all that implies. So that'd be nice. So yeah, fingers crossed, y'all. Let's grab a card from Mother Mary, Jesus's mom. Let's see what she's got to say. Give us some motherly advice, Mother Mary. Feminine. I allow my feminine nature to shine brightly as a valuable part of my identity. I was like, I had to wear this dress today for this reading, and probably because it's a new moon, so I wanted to like dress in like white to absorb all the light. And I needed to be the feminine moon goddess because Leo is like so much masculine, so much sunlight, so much manspread, so much mansplain. So I needed to be super femme. And how much more femme can you get with this like damsel dress? I really want to run through the forest, like as it's getting dark, like, it feels like that. Maybe if I could carry like a lantern, that would like really, really nail it. So yes, let your feminine nature shine brightly as a valuable part of your identity. So don't be afraid to take it a little easier, relax a little bit, be receptive, be cooperative. Like maybe you don't have to take the lead and force anything. Maybe like let the universe be the masculine. Let the universe kind of take the lead and the control right now, and follow and listen and be receptive to help when help comes. The feminine energy is about receiving. It's about being quiet and listening. That sounds infuriating. It's also about restriction and discipline and boundaries and borders and where you begin and another ends. And so, it's nurturing, but it knows when to say, stop right there. Yeah. And then last but certainly not least, let's get some loving words from Jesus. Jesus, how do you want to end this reading? Ooh, let's see what this says. Peace I leave you with, or peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. We had this a little while back, a couple of workshops ago, but I love this one, and I don't get this one out of this deck a lot, which I'm surprised. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. So you guys, will end on that note. Peace be with you. Shalom, shalom. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it, then please give it a like. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications to be notified of when I drop content. Like the videos, comment, share them. Anything that you do helps these messages get out to other people who need them. So you watching a video and taking an action on it actually makes a positive difference in someone else's life.